I'm driving BMW's all-new X1, and this is an S Drive, and it also comes in an X Drive. An X Drive is a 4x4, and this one, S Drive, has got rear-wheel drive, and it comes in at £24,205. So it is quite an expensive little car, far more expensive than most of the cars that we test, but it is aimed at the premium market. That's people don't mind paying that sort of money for quality. So really, you're paying for quality and for the name BMW. Maybe I've led quite a sheltered life, but I've not driven that many quality cars, and to me, this does feel lovely. It feels really solid, feels really well put together, and yeah, sort of a sturdiness when you're driving it, confidence in it. I do feel it has quite a stark nature to it, sort of that quite Germanic feel, plain and simple, which often is very elegant. And driving this car, even though it's a rather shallow thing to say, it does sort of make me feel quite good about myself. There was a boot full of lovely shopping, all nicely hidden, off for lunch with a man. It was my husband though. But it felt nice, you know, woman about town, having lunch. It made me feel quite successful. So let's talk about the look, because I'm slightly confused by it. I feel it's slightly ungainly looking. To me, it's either pumped up 1 Series if it's on high heels, or rather squashed and elongated X5. Quite odd. And there's parts of it I really love, but then when you put it all together, I'm just not quite sure that it gives such a good impression. So I love the rear. I think it's actually very simple and elegant at the rear, and the front is very bold with a big grille. It looks actually quite cross. I rather like that. But there's a bit in the middle that doesn't seem to quite come together. And if you look at it from a distance, it looks like a big shoe, like a clown shoe with a very long bonnet, which is out of proportion with the rest of it. I was quite surprised when I actually got inside the cabin that it wasn't as large as I thought it was going to be. Yes, there's plenty of leg room and headroom and elbow room, but it's still not as big as I thought. And I think it's quite deceptive because from outside it does look quite a decent sized car. That's quite strange. There is decent boot space, and of course the back seats fold down in the normal way to give you even bigger space. Because of the rear-wheel drive, of course, lots of the space is taken up by that, so it's not a deep boot, but I quite like that because it makes loading a lot easier. BMW call this a sports activity vehicle. I'm not exactly sure what that means, apart from the fact the middle seat at the back can flop down, you can shove your skis and your snowboard or your golf set there. I suspect it's just sort of filling the gap, a name given for something that sort of fits in between a 1 Series and a 3 Series. So I've already said this car comes in over 24,000, and in some other hatchbacks you may expect a lot more gizmos for that amount of money, but with this car you're paying for the premium brand. So really what you don't get the sunroof and the sat-nav and all those and the leather trim, you just get the basic car. I think that's just a decision you have to make. I have enjoyed driving this car, especially on the motorway where it's a very reassuring feel to it. But driving around town, it wasn't just me that felt this. It felt harder to drive. Both the gears and the steering are quite heavy, which really took me quite by surprise. I was pleasantly surprised by the green credentials of this car. On a combined cycle it does about 53 miles per gallon, and its CO2 emissions 139 grams per kilometre. And this is helped by its marvellous stop-start mechanism, which when you come to a stop at traffic lights and you knock it out of gear and take your foot off the clutch, the car comes to, the engine cuts off. Now, would I buy this car? I have enjoyed driving it, I've enjoyed the way it's made me feel about it, but I don't think it would quite fit my lifestyle. I think I need something slightly larger. But if you didn't want a huge car, you wanted one that looked a bit quirky and did stand out a bit from the crowd, but yet you wanted a premium car and you had the money to spend, then I think why not? I think this would be ideal.